We were the anti-nuclear capital of the world. I was an autistic kid. My father was a drafted United States Marine, an incredible man. I come from an incredible family. My uncle stood on Omaha Beach on D-Day. I grew up on a huge ranch out by the lake. He was a beautiful, incredible person. He was at Pendleton, combat ready, and they were human guinea pig. They were marched into the trenches in Nevada. They're called atomic veterans. He nearly died at the blast. Between 1951 and 1968, we had 300 open-air tests. Well, as different scientists started to write about this, Wallace Stegner was at the University of Utah at the time. I got to know him. Edward Abbey was hanging around there. I got to know him. I got to know all these environmentalists, and I was an environmentalist, and it was a passionate, intense subject matter there.
All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. They'll be calling you a radical. Gate 311, whatever you want to call it. I call it Pacific genocide, whatever. It's fucking giant conspiratorial across all demographics. All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. They'll be calling you a radical. All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. Gate 311, whatever you want to call it. I call it Pacific genocide, whatever. It's fucking giant conspiratorial across all demographics. They'll be calling you a radical. May God have mercy on all of your souls.
Nuclear power was evolving. We were promised, oh, this can't happen.
Bored you, but as I was going on about when I was on the pier with Greenpeace, you know, and these kids, they're idealistic. They're not there for, you know, because they love the environment. They're there trying to make a buck, trying to survive. They're paid to do what they do. And so I get into it with them down there. How come you're not talking about Fukushima, blah, blah? Oh, well, our viewers, it's one of the issues they're not interested in. I'm like, really? So you got the tail wagging the dog, huh? And so anyway, we start talking. Next thing you know, he says, you know, we start talking about the guy, the president of Greenpeace. He's a piece of shit. I says, told me I was raising my voice. I says, I remember when you guys used to raise your voice. So he called me. He wasn't far away. So he came over. By the way, he lives in the Trestle. $10 million house, gated community. For real, for real. So last one in, closed the door. Even, there's no idealistic, impressionistic, freaking romantic, serious activists out there anymore. Is in the purity, in the young baby wolf, because they smashed them down, they killed them, they've smashed down to contemporize being an environmentalist, being a writer, being a passionate artist, being all that. They've taken that out of the equation. These people, young people, don't even think that exists anymore. They think to be an artist, you go to Manhattan and fit in the club and make these pretty pictures to hang, interior decorators to hang on oligarchs' walls. They really believe that's true. I mean, the people that call themselves artists in Manhattan, oh my God. I mean, and then Patty Smythe says, oh, last one in, close the door. I mean, she's the gatekeeper. How is she the gatekeeper? She hasn't made anything since 1981. What, because she took her shirt off in 1981? She's pathetic. So me and him get into it. We're arguing down there about Fukushima, you know, about the whole complex, you know. He pushed me, so I cracked him right in the throat. Pretty intense fight, pretty radical, and I was very sick at the time. You know me. I'm not going to, I don't play. I'm a serious activist. I fight the bully. Bully wants to come to me, I fight him. So, in New York City, I know people that know Bill O'Reilly. Bill O'Reilly makes a statement, you know, yesterday, the day before, that Fox News is censoring thing. But I would give it to that guy for one reason. One reason only. His statement to Stephen Colbert is true. Stephen, you know it's all an act. Stephen Colbert, if I'm an actor, if you're an actor, what am I? He admits he's an act. So does Limbaugh. They admit it's a total 100% act. It's like this radical, we want the Keystone Pipeline, and then you ask people why. Why do you want, we want offshore drilling. We support British Petroleum. We part that extract, and we support the people that exploit labor, and then you ask them why. Because Fox News told them why. They have no rational reason. It's just like when you tell, I mean, there's been plenty of studies on you. When you prove the truth to a baby boomer and show a lot of these baby boomers the truth, they'll even double down on the lie that they believe in. That's called dogma. Dogma is a serious thing. You know, my dogma burger, my dogma nugget, it's very serious, sir. You know, they consumed a lot of dogma burgers. Now, we all have. We're all human. But we got to puke them up, get them out. You know, we all fall for it at times. We got caught up with it. You know, the number one component of dogma is your relationship with your spouse or your business or your co-workers. Next thing you know, you're listening to their bullshit, which is so ignorant it's unbelievable. Next thing you know, you've ate it. You don't even know you've ate it. It's hard to break away, but you have to break away. So he and I, Patrick, who's leading the fracking war in Vernal, the environmental conference sponsored by Dirty Herbie in Salt Lake City, I'm very critical. We go down there. It's very foggy and very snowy this time of year. We finally got winter. It's this time of year. I'll put up a video today on my site that I shot down there in that beautiful, I love this time of year. But anyway, we dressed up like devils. We had pitchforks, and we had a permit to do it outside where they had to drive by us to get into the parking area. We had barrels. We burned fires legally clean fires, you know, natural gas, legally. We had to, I mean, it was a lot of work to what we did, and it was Patrick's beautiful work. He's the one that did it all, he and his friend. He's the guy who led the protest in Vernal, that the 25 were arrested. They plea bargained, and this is a tough gig for him to have a plea bargain because what happens under the Patriot Act now, even if you do a plea bargain now, he's smart enough to do no contest. He's a smart dude. And so, because he's in the court system or whatever, because he didn't want to be Tim DeChristopher. He's a great activist. He's an incredible activist. You know, really great friends. He's awesome. So these people had to drive right by us in this fog. We were dressed over there, and it was dark, you know, as they're coming in. Salt Lake City Police Department said they had hundreds of calls. Hundreds. We put the fear of God in those fuckers. Legally, with a permit, we did everything right. So we're out there at our, you know, conference and hearing went great. So we went inside the conference building, which we had the legal right to go in there and whatever. And then we kind of stormed through there. You know, we made our statement, whatever, and people were calling the cops and their private security going crazy on us, saying, oh, they're trespassing, which we were not. We did everything legally and we did everything right. And so we get in there, of course, their private security is going crazy. And their private security is going ballistic. Of course, they call the cops. Salt Lake City Police Department's a whole different animal than West Valley from Weber County, than everywhere else in the country. They have good cops. The chief of police comes down. He knows me. He surely knows Patrick, Kevin, listen, we know you guys are leading this thing. Now, listen, we don't know if this is trespassing or if this is not. You know, the permit's very vague where you can go, where not, but let's just finish this right now. You've made your statement, right, Kev? Yes, sir. You know, and he says, okay, let's be diplomatic about this. You're a diplomatic person, Kevin. Absolutely, I am. You're pragmatic, Patrick. Yes. Okay, you guys made your statement. You know, we'll give you a little bit. Move your crowd out. Okay, you can lead this mass. You let them hear it, lead them out. You made your statement. You did your thing. You know, and I had it videoed. I haven't put those videos up. It's a long, complicated story because there was a bunch of college students with us. But these students, I'm really big in protecting my students and these kids and these people, you know, ex-students who are great. I don't want to be Tim DeChristopher. I don't believe in going to jail. I don't believe in it because the rules have changed. You go to jail now as an activist, they Tim DeChristopher you. Probation for life. And it's very dangerous inside those prisons. They'll kill you. You know, Megan Rice knows this, but she's old. And they almost, I mean, you think about it. They abused an 86-year-old nun in prison. You don't think they will a 23-year-old college kid? So, and then they put you on the pay, and they label you as an eco-terrorist, which they're the terrorists. So I says, okay. So, you know, I made my statements. We did our gig. Great job, you guys. Let's move outside. Take care, because we're not violent. They're the ones that are violent. we're loud, we raise our voice, we make our statements, we talk in intense, strong language, and we do what we have to do. But we don't believe in violence. We're peace activists. We're anti-war. We're anti-bomb builders, all of us. And, you know, we know that, so we went out. He was great. So there's a video out there right now of a guy in Salt Lake City, right there in the Avenues, right by my hospital. You know, that's kind of my little home, the Avenues of Salt Lake City, which is, when I was a boy, was the most dangerous neighborhood in all of Utah. You could have bought a house there for $5,000 in 1970s, in 1980s. Probably the most affluent neighborhoods now. By the way, LDS Hospital is one magnificent hospital, and I owe them my life. And they're not owned by the LDS Church. And they've remodeled. I was in there while they were in. It's spectacular. They have an incredible, beautiful culture. And so I know how the police are there, whatever. Well, this guy's only been on for a year. I saw this. Now, this video would have never went out because the Darian Hunt case, our cameras didn't work. You know, Danielle Willard, our cameras didn't work. They always never work because they're fucking liars. Period. So this case, I knew it would go up in Salt Lake City, and I knew there was more to the story. And they played the whole thing. It just proves what communication skills are lacking in this country. That video says it all. It says it all on both sides of the equation. The cop was way out of line. Goes right up to him and says, "Would you permit?" When this kid, I know him, comes out of construction trades. What have they done to the construction trades? We know. He knows what I know. I was the biggest stucco contractor in this state. I never exploited labor. I treated labor fairly. I paid my taxes. I paid my freaking bills. I paid my workman's compensation. I was an intricate piece of the community. Now, he knows that you can pull up right there in the same neighborhood with a whole crew of so-called illegal labor. You're exploiting, paying cash, cheating your neighbors, cheating your system, and no one will ever call. First, think about the guy who called the cops on him. The guy's just walking around. He's been doing it for years, shoveling sidewalks, and, no snow. Of course there's no snow. That's when you go out and build your clientele and, talk to people. Say, hey, we know it's going to snow. Here's my card. Here's my number. I'll be in the neighborhood. I'd sure like to do, that's how it works. This is which, in the trades, this is the way it worked in Utah for years. I did it for decades, our crews. We used to make a lot of money, and it's a very needed service. So this guy comes up, where's a permit? Blah, blah, blah. He's a total asshole to this kid. You can tell this kid's stressed out. I mean, really stressed out. I mean, which we all are, trying to make ends meet, especially as a tradesman. I mean, the most smashed down, compromised freaking people in the world. First, they came for the tradesmen, for I did not stand up. Then they came for the homosexuals. I was not homosexual, for I did not stand up. Then they came for the Jews, for I was not a Jew. I did not stand up. But even before that, they came for the artists, smashed them down. Oh, I'm an artist, and I stand up. So when they come for you, which they already came for you, and your answer is to get a gun. Johnny, get your gun. There's no one to stand up. We need a revolution of the heart, Dorothy Day. By the way, I was more of my activism. In D.C. in 2013, I walked to the Dorothy Day house, went to church with them. That's the house in D.C. that Greg and Michael are sitting in prison cells who broke into White 12 came out of that house. Plenty of pictures of it. So we try. Now, as far as the Keystone Pipeline, it's metaphorical, and I understand that. But I don't understand how the so-called Green Party, Greenpeace, and everybody are gobbling up this issue when this issue is a drop in the bucket to Fukushima. This issue is nuclear. Before I forget, there's breaking news out of Alabama right now. The nuclear reactor in Alabama had a tritium leak. Well, it's had a plutonium leak. They've had a leak into the environment. This is a big story. This is a very big story, and it was just reported to me this morning. CBTV.com in Chattanooga, Tennessee is reporting this. A Chattanooga newspaper reports that a reactive water leaked from a tank in an Alabama nuclear released tritium into the environment. The report said that the leak occurred last week at the Browns Ferry nuclear power plant near Athens, Alabama. Now, a spokesman for the Tennessee Valley Authority, now you know about the Tennessee Valley Authority, that great artist, right there in Knoxville. That's where he lived, by the way. I did videos right there inside his place, inside his park, the TVA. their catastrophe, that area is completely annihilated because of the Manhattan Project gone amok. So this is a big story. When they're reporting tritium, we know that that's a full-blown out freaking leak. It's probably loss of water. It's either one or two things. You've had loss of coolant in a spent fuel pool, or you've got some kind of situation and the melts are going. Tritium. I mean, this is a big, big story. I'm going to do a video as soon as I get off my radio show on this. This is a very big story. Because tritium, what is tritium? Tritium, I'll go back to Einstein. The most powerful force on Earth is compounding. He's not talking about your bank account. He's talking about tritium levels because these are gamma rays. Tritium is the byproduct. That's why I was so alarmed last year, 2 years ago, at Fukushima, Japan, when they were reporting spiked tritium in their wells. Spiked tritium in the wells at Indian Point. This, to me, I know. That means there's an event going on. Now, you can't turn these events off. So what do they do with these things? Are these rubs that go together when they lose coolant in these old, worn-out reactors? You know, you don't just turn them off. And everybody says, oh, they got the technology. No, they don't. No, they don't. You're still waiting for Santa. The only Santa you're going to get is Santa Susanna. Oh, yeah, they covered that up, too. Chinese jobs, more likely that killed him. He knew about Santa Susanna, by the way. He knew about it. So, here we go. This is a major story. And I'm going to get on this. I'll do a video on it. I'll talk about, TVA. It was exactly a year ago I was in Knoxville, Tennessee. There's TVA's right there at the end of the square. Knoxville's a magnificent place, by the way. What a grand little freaking airport. Real stone. They don't got a bunch of fake rock masons gluing and sticking there. Knoxville's a grand city. Y-12 is grotesque. I mean, I was after Y-12. I mean, the high school is the Adams. I see the logo on the high school. It's the whole city. It's a bizarre. I did a lot of incredible videos out there. I mean, it's metaphorical, the thumbprint in so many ways, Knoxville is. I think it's so important that Megan Rice, because iconically Knoxville is the place of America, all the way back to DeSoto. And if you really want to get an education as a historian, as a person, go to Knoxville, Tennessee, and go to the East Tennessee Museum. It's the best I've ever seen. Because the Cumberland Pass there, I mean, by geographically, I mean, what percentage of people on the westward expansion had to pass through Knoxville, Tennessee? Gargantuous amount. People come over to DeSoto, his gig right there, paddling canoe, tricking him. It goes all the way back. The TVA, wow. The Manhattan Project. I mean, it's such an amazing historical thumbprint to all of society's Knoxville, Tennessee. Well, I went to the trial and the sentencing hearing of Megan Rice, went to the most spiritual potluck in history, which is out there, right outside of Knoxville at the church. It was a powerful group there. I thought there'd be media everywhere. I thought there'd be international. I was promised by Al Jazeera. I was promised by RT. They'd be there. They lied. They all lied because the alternative media is not an alternative. I am the alternative to the alternative because, why? Oh, I'm an artist. The artists are always the alternative to the alternative. Always. And by the way, if you think artists are about painting pretty nice things and whatever, you are grotesquely mistaken. Some of the great pieces of art that you view in books your whole life, when you see them up in person, you're like, whoa, so impressive. Has nothing to do with what they look like. Has nothing to do with it. It has to do with the capitulation of everything that happened in front of them. It has to do with the thumbprint. It has to do with economics, history. It throws a 10 over it all. Thus, post-ignorance. The age of fission. This has never happened. What's going on in Fukushima, China has never happened. To be an environmentalist is to be spit on. Because you think about it. The dogma that everybody, especially in a beautiful place in Utah, when it was so in vogue to be an environmentalist. So amazing. All the great environmentalists landed here for a reason. Solve the other people, and people want to incorporate the Mormon story, thesis with Utah. No, the romance of Utah had very little to do with Mormonism. It had to do with Mormons ended up being the giant component of it because they came. But 90% of the Mormons were not here because of the theology of so-called Mormonism. It was the westward expansion. I will quote my father. The tomato farmer capital of the world we grew up. They were Italian. Del Monte was headquartered here. They brought them out there where we were. Right there. One side of the giant causeway, the Italian row croppers, tomatoes. I grew up on a tomato farm, sugar beets, dairy, cattle, Our farm, our family, huge. Amazing freaking way I grew up out there. I mean, I grew up the old way, in the romantics, you know. Oh, were they romantics. My neighbor, Dario Castesso, amazing man. He's just not passed very long ago. Talking about northern Italy and Austria. So, no, I come from right on the Austrian border. And he would talk about his path and his life and Austria and northern Italy and the whole region. You know, his travels, his family, you know, where they came from. He was talking about his parents. I believe, you know, his mother was Austrian, his father was Italian. And he talked about it, and I mean, he just go into this romantic rant. I mean, amazing, man. I remember when I was a little boy and we're driving down my dad's old pickup, and I was like, Dad, why would anybody leave such a place? He says, for the romance. That's why they left. They had to. What was going on in that part of the world in those days? I mean, you think of Mussolini, Franco, Hitler. Europe loves to kill each other, by the way. You know they love to kill each other. There was an opportunity. The beacon light really was the United States, especially the West. It really was the last frontier. That's all gone now, the beacon light. Now people are seeking political asylum abroad. You have to flee the United States. We were the beacon light for the human rights champions. We're the protectors of the environment, Teddy. Nobody else ever set up park ground and just took it and says, hey, this is government ground. Now we protect it because you monsters from Europe love to rape it. We're not going to let you rape it. Teddy Roosevelt. I mean, think about how crazy. By the way, was never elected. Oh, the great tariff president was murdered. I'm the great tariff president. Boom, we know for a fact. Ordered execution by the Queen. The so-called blame it on the anarchists, which they found the anarchists, paid them to do it, which is the same old story. Anybody who goes against the royal system, this has been a quintessence. They play long ball. They don't play for one lifetime like you guys play or for tomorrow. And they're cheap interest rate. We're so baby, we won't take our class now. Keep the interest rate at 0.00000. Fuck our future. Fuck our children. Fuck everybody. Poison the environment. We're not about to pay any money. All the money we're about to pay for is bombs, like 12 freaking plutonium wars that we need. And one other thing, the beautiful activists that showed up at Livermore and protested the testing of plutonium. You know I protested there on Fukushima Day 1000. I was out there for 3 days on Thanksgiving Day. Heather and I. You know, and then the literature professor from San Francisco University. And I got kicked off Cal Berkeley again, for the umpteenth time. It's the head of the snake. Livermore, that's where this whole freaking mass murder, eugenics freaking war is being run from. Do not kid yourself. And it's all evolved. It's capitulating. It's capitulating with a failed experiment. It's capitulating with a 75, 80-year-old failed experiment that just had the door open and the treasury just flowed to them. It's created a bunch of lazy, worthless gazillionaires that make huge money and a complex. Oh, jobs. Oh, we're going to open a factory that takes people. We're just going to gather them up. Homeless, whatever, even healthy people, whatever. And we're just going to randomly gather them up, and we're going to take them in there. We're going to kill them, and we're going to experiment on their bodies. Oh, yeah, the whole country would be bidding for those. Oh, yeah, they're good for jobs. You know, just like offshore drilling was good for jobs in the Gulf. I'm an environmental economist. I proved it long before it happened. Before it happened, it took away more jobs than it ever added. Because it took away the freaking complex and the drillers and the abstraction to get it there. Of course, then, BP. Somebody told me, says, BP is much worse than Fukushima. Well, BP was horrible, that fucking accident in the Gulf. Absolutely horrible, but it's a drop in the bucket compared to Fukushima. And British Petroleum is probably the greatest ecological catastrophe that ever happened in the United States. Until Fukushima happened. That's how big Fukushima is. British Petroleum, that accident there is horrific. And if you don't think I wasn't all over that, you better fucking start Googling back in fucking April of fucking 2010. and see who you get ranting and raving and screaming their fucking head off and going crazy. Tens of thousands of views. Oh, yeah, me. Look what they did to that freaking golf. Think about the disbursement they sprayed on it. Annihilated. So, I was doing videos back then. You got your choice. You got your choice. Now, go get those freaking Atlantic Ocean fucking shrimp. Go get those out of the Gulf. Or no. Maybe we can have some nice, fresh cod caught in the Gulf of Alaska from Fukushima. By the way, most of your shrimp that you're eating now is coming from the greenhouses outside of Las Vegas. Las Vegas got smart. They're like these pigs when they show up, and they go to work. They're 65 hours a week in their big outlet, and they really think they got it going on. What happens in Las Vegas stays in Las Vegas. I spent half my life in fucking Nevada. And, well, I watched it grow up. My name used to be on the wall at Stratosphere Tower. I can tell, we have stories. I mean, I live here. I mean, my complex is the desert. So let's take our $3,000 or $4,000, honey, and we're going to spend 4 or 5 days in Las Vegas. So they go watch the naked fucking strippers, get drunk, fall down on the blackjack table, lose their money. Fully intended and want to lose their money. And they come home, hey, you so wild. That's wild. Pathetic. Drink till you puke. It's disgusting. It's not even Las Vegas anymore. You used to be able to go down to Fremont, play single deck blackjack. Oh no, they don't even think about that. They make all their money off rooms. I mean, did you see the price of rooms? I mean, it's outrageous, and these goats go down there and just do it. Here's your $12 beers. Go play 8-shoe horse blackjack. You got no shot gambling-wise, none. And it used to be the gambler. It used to be the romantic place. It used to be an incredible place, by the way, amazing. Just like everything else. Greed's fucking wiped it out. There's no gaming commission. None. It's highway robbery. They might as well stick a gun to your head before you even get there and just take it. But you're willing to do it. Oh, well, yeah, it's fun. What happened in Vegas? What'd you guys do? Yeah, we went to the strip bar and seen some naked freaking, 21-year-olds freaking from the FLDS ranch and freaking Bundy Ranch down there. The moochers, their children. By the way, the escorts and the strippers of Las Vegas, 90% are Mormon. Talk about the Lost Boys. Oh, I know lots of Lost Boys, tons of them. The FLDS. And if you don't believe the Mormon Church still believes in those guys, the Mormon Church, the Supreme Court, Mike Lee's brother, over Judge Alito, which the country's being run out of BYU law, overturned Warren Jeff's conviction. People don't know that. Oh, yeah. He made the big mistake. He went to Texas. They ain't about to deal with no pedophile in Texas. Oh, Utah put up with it for decades. Jeff's had his freaking church right there in Cottonwood for years. They knew other women were holding down 12-year-olds and raping him. And the Mormon says, oh, we're not that. We're abstract from that. Then why did they overturn his conviction? The place is corrupt, big time. It surely wasn't in the 60s and 70s. The zenith for Mormonism, 60s. Yeah, because they were logical, rational people. John Kennedy had very tight relationships with these people. So did I. It was a wonderful place when I was growing up, boy. People cared about each other. People loved each other. Mormon, non-Mormon, didn't matter. They were logical. They were environmentalists, hardcore. They all landed here. Oh, these people were such environmentalists, such protectors of the land, such protectors of the freaking environment. Now look at them. They're the opposite. Stegman was here. There's a reason he landed here. From Stanford, from Canada, from mowing Charlie Russell's lawn. He landed here. There's a reason Edward Abbey came here. Carol Gallagher, she's alive. There's a reason she came here. There's a reason they all came here. Of course, I was already here. I'm 6th generation. My family was here in Weber County and in Salt Lake before even the first group of Mormons got here. They were the scouts out here. I'm still here. They've turned the place into a toxic waste dump. They've annihilated it. Of course, the military complex built up here because it was the desert and they could secretly hide it out there. Dugway's out there. That's the Army's chemical weapons testing facility. 1968, they had the leak out there. They lied. KSL, when they were still responsible media before they turned into, KSL was the biggest media in the western United States when they had a soul and a conscience. They were great media. KSL radio, They had the best investigative journalists in the world, and that's what there was a reason their ratings were gigantic in the Western United States. They did not drink the Kool-Aid because the owners hadn't drank the Kool-Aid. They were responsible people. They cared about their people. They cared about their land. They cared about each other. A KSL reporter goes out on his hands and knees and photographs the thousands of dead sheep they're lying about. Goes out and interviews the dead ghost shoots, family members. AP's got it. It's famous photographs. This state goes ballistic. They go crazy. They want them out. They're back. Operation Jackrabbit. I want to really dive into this. No one's talking about this. I am. So, what they've done out there, post-Fukushima, the fall of 2011, when I'm freaking fighting for my life, very, very sick, we get reports that the Grebes, the Great Salt Lake is an incredible ecosystem. Hearing people in Utah, oh, it's just that stinky. Are you kidding? It's an amazing. I grew up on the edge of it. It's the greatest ecosystem. You know, the only ecosystem I've been to in my life that's even more dynamic than this ecosystem behind my house: the great flyways, the marshes, the birds, the muskrats, all of it, the jackrabbits, all of it. By the way, it's all gone. They're all dead. Is the Central Valley of California on the coast at San Luis Obispo, at Pismo, where, what did they do there to that most incredible ecosystem probably on the earth? The giant trees, the giant mammals, the incredible fertile soil, the salt, where timber meets sea, the ocean, where it slopes down, where the natives they slaughtered used to launch their canoes and do their ceremonies. Oh, let's have some devils come into town and put a devil at the most sacred, hallowed place in the world. Let's take all the waste and put it in the second greatest ecological freaking spot. So what happens? We get reports on KSL. I'm in very critical condition. I'm fighting Blue Castle, by the way. I'm ready to die. And if you Google Blue Castle nuclear freaking plant, you're going to get me ranting and raving from the bone marrow transplant with a central line hand on my jugular, the best activism I did. Oh, I put the dagger to those punks long before that. I'm the one that exposed their fake funding. Dirty Herbie told me to F off right to my face. Oh, he hates me because he knows I'm on to him. I know his corruption. I know his passive aggressive, just like his son. His son, the stalker, who stalked multiple girls, still stalking him. Of course he gets away. He's the governor of corrupt Mormon Utah. It's amazing what the Mormons have turned into here. Their forefathers came back to life, they would spit in their faces. They would probably do what they used to do. They would probably blood atone them. Oh, yeah, they used to do that. They still up to it? They got the balls. It's amazing to me. Really amazing. So there's a report that the grebes. Now, people, what's a grebe? Grebes are birds. They live on the edge of the Great Salt. They live all over the world. They're diving ducks. They're magnificent creatures. They're prehistoric. They're historic. They're all, in the spring they dance on the water. They're magnificent creatures. Look, Harriet's balloons. Yeah. They're magnificent. Oh, there's a whole flock that had an incident, just committed suicide into a parking lot, got fooled in freaking Twilla. Dove into a road, dove into a parking lot. No, they didn't. They were gassed. I know they were gassed. Right there at 20 hours. So KSL reports this because that's what KSL does. They're fucking lying, terrorist, passive-aggressive terror. Doug Wright is a terrorist. So then last year, a couple years later, there's reports of more dead grebes behind my house on the edge of the lake. I go out there. They're all dead. What the fuck? Oh, mercury from the lake because magnesium plants burn up? Yeah, could be part of it. The magnesium plants, the most horrible, most polluter right out there. You see me do videos out there. No one dares go out there. I'll go out there. Those guys, that place needs to be shut down, but the Mormons are all about exploiting the earth, killing their own crop. And if you don't believe me, Mitt Romney owns Stircycle. Stircycle here in Bountiful, Utah. Bountiful. Right there in North Salt Lake, the biggest polluter in the world, is the only medical incinerator in the entire Northern Hemisphere that is allowed to burn the freaking brain encephalitis into the atmosphere, among many, many, many other things, which we have a huge freaking death rate from that. Covered up? Oh, Huntsman. 357 benzene plants. And Google Huntsman cancer treatment. It's passive, it shines, it poison. tens of thousands of people. They don't even rank in the top 100 cancer facilities. They're a fraud. John Hunson's a fraud. They're all frauds here. You know, overcompensation. Don't talk about the cause, because we're the cause. We'll exploit every penny out of you as you die. Our hospital. You want to go to the Huntsman and eat good food, stay in a hotel, go ahead. By the way, they're still trying to sue me for a phone conversation for $1,400. I'm like, bring it on. Let's get into court. Let's get into court. I'll have my YouTube camera. I'll destroy you lying freaking rats. They're evil. They are evil. Social scripts in California. Evil. Evil. Do not go to those hospitals. Do not go to Huntsman. They will kill you. Guaranteed you will die if you go to Huntsman Cancer Treatment Center. I'm telling you, they will kill you. I'm not kidding. And this is many, many, many stories, and I'll write a book about those freaking pricks. So, the Eagles all dying last year. All dead. Oh, it was West Now. Now they backed off West Now. I did many interviews all over with people. You see my videos all over. Yeah. Oh, the Eagles died from eating the grapes. What killed the grapes? Oh, West Now. What? Oh, no. What killed them a couple of years ago? We know what killed them. Guess what? They're going to do it again. They've announced it to the world. They call it Operation London Fog, Operation Jackrabbit. By the way, jackrabbits used to be everywhere. I killed the last jackrabbit. I killed the last jackrabbit in Weber County on accident. Out protesting at the Westinghouse facility. He jumped right in front of my car and committed suicide. Amazing. They're incredible creatures, by the way. Incredible creatures. They're all gone. They're all gone. Now the grebes are all gone. Now the eagles are all gone. My favorite thing this time of year, I'll drive up through Hennifer, and because the bald eagles migrate to Utah from Alaska. They get out behind my house along the lake, all the way along those beautiful marshes, because there's small fish in those marshes right as the marshes go into the lake, and they feed on them. That's how they eat and survive. And then the whitefish spawn across up the magnificent Weber, up through those canyons in Echo. They line those freaking giant cottonwoods, and they fish. I had many dozens of them. So all winter long, I tore around and look at them. That's what I do. I love those creatures. I get right up close to them. So I've been doing it this winter, like I always do. Guess how many eagles I have found all winter? All winter. Breaks my heart. The biggest day count I've had is 2. Sunday, on my count, 1. It's heartbreaking. And we're talking by the dozens, many dozens. They're gone. So KSL comes out and says, there's no more formal protests. None of these environmentalist groups, because the environmentalist groups, the only thing green about them is their bank account. They're not environmentalist groups. Jill Stein, the only thing green about hers. So they're about profiteering. Greenpeace is about profiteering. The Sierra Club, there's nobody that's in these things for the right reasons. Nobody. So, I protest. I've showed up at the formal protest. Throw fits. People, they all know me. Go out the window over to the Enola Gay Hangar and the people that freaking have their plan on it, they all know me. They're like, how you doing, Kev? They fear me, by the way. They'll come up and buy me a beer. They're not to come up and say, they stupid ass. They don't do that to me. They're scared to death. And Doug Wright sees me from KSL, he'll run the other way. The Mormon church leaders who freaking around, they see me, they're like, hi, Kev, and they bow their head and go the other way. They're fucking afraid of me because they know I'm the real deal. They know I don't fuck around, and they know I fucking call them out, just like it's San Onofre. Those guys, people all know me. They've known me for years. The NRC knows me personally, by name, all of them. Allison knows me personally by name, all of them. Everybody, they know me very personally. They know I don't fuck around. So I go off on them. I call them out. I'm not one of these lunatics that loses my mind, calls them names. No, I know how to communicate. I'm like, hey, you heard me in there. Don't take it personally, but I consider you be nothing but by criminals that support other criminals. That's just the way it is, And by the way, I will agree with the NRC, what they'll tell you. They'll come to me. I talked to them. I had coffee with them all morning down there last night for an hour and a half, their spokesman. Kev, the NRC was never set up to handle 45 years of nuclear waste, and the American populace continues to kick the can on Yucca Mountain or shoot it into space. And there's no answers, and so we're throwing it. And I says, you're absolutely right. So who really is to blame? The American populace. The baby boom and the most sickening, grotesque populace in the history of mankind. And then go one generation removed from them. You ever talk to an echo boomer? What's an echo boomer? People just a hair younger. A baby boomer, born from 1945 to 1964. That's a baby boomer. Echo boomers, born from 1964 to 1980. They're pathetic. Is it their fault? They're pathetic. I mean, they're the 90% of your trolls and your rats and your commenters, like what's his name says on ESPN. Twitter's got to be the meanest place on earth. And I told him, I says, sports writer, I talked to him. He's the guy that said that. I says, if Twitter's the meanest place on earth, have you ever been over to YouTube? You know, so YouTuber, you don't want to disable your comments because it's a big piece of your community. It's a very important part of the art. So you spend hours a day policing from the trolls and the rats because they're that fucking stupid. They're dumb, they're ignorant, they're poorly educated, they're lazy, they're fat, they're sloppy, they're pigs. It's like I got one that I got into with here, right here. 40-something years old. You know, he's babbling about, thinks he knows everything. Whatever. By the way, the guy's homeless now. Babbling his head off about this bullshit. And what goes on with it, we were talking about this. There's a young woman here, that's really a beautiful school teacher, who's been charged with having sex with 4 different 17-year-olds. God, he's going crazy about it. He's freaking out about that. And I says, really, you think that's freaking abnormal? That shit's gone on for freaking years. I remember when I was 17, 18. I remember I had a freaking 33-year-old girl that I used to sleep with all the time. It was very normal and very common around here. I mean, I don't know. I didn't consider it weird or crazy. It was a pure sexual thing. That's all it ever was. I surely wasn't having any relationship with her. You know? I was young. You know, and that's the way it goes. So, I mean, you talk to how many girls here in Utah that children at 14 or 15 by 35-year-old guys? The sexual consent age until 1998 in Utah was 14 for a girl. Look it up. Same in Texas. Same a lot of places. So I get talking to this guy, and I'm like, then it hit me. I says, I've never known you to ever freaking have anything to do with a girl, blah, blah, blah. I says, you're a 45-year-old virgin, aren't you? I says, you are, huh? The problem is the echo boomer and that whole complex, they never lived. Us as baby boomers, oh, we lived. That's why I put so much blame on us. You think about our lives when we were 16, 17, 18, 19. Oh, my God, did we live? How did we live? And our parents let us live. Oh, I think about my attorney, Randy Richards here. Big. He won the NAACP award. He's a magnificent man. He's a great guy. He's a human rights guy. You know, and he's really having problems with the Mormon Church. He's a multi-generation Mormon. He says, Kevin, I'm sure I committed multiple felonies when I was young. And I says, if you did, what the hell did I do? I'll never forget this, and I'll tell this story, and a lot of people go back on this story. You know, but it's just the way it was here. Mount Ogden Park, I had this lobby, and I would, go go back and forth from San Diego to here, and I was like most us young males. Sexually motivated, drunk all the time, happy, and I don't remember any fights at our freaking keg parties for the most part when they were outside. There was always some radical, crazy idiots that got marginalized and thrown out. But it was very communal. It was very happy, people, whatever. This girl that I knew, and I'd always really liked her sexuality-wise, and I think I was 18, she was 16 or 17. I mean, we were too young, but that's the way it was here. From out in Ogden Park, she rips her clothes off and says, Kevin, come here, yeah, and she's standing there naked in the middle of the day. I'm like, oh, my God. She says, you've been chasing me, I'm like, whatever. I had sex with her on the picnic table at Mount Ogden Park in the middle of the day on a bed. I still don't believe I did it, but it wasn't abnormal. It was not abnormal. Golden Gate had nothing on us here in Ogden, Utah, or Sugar House, Salt Lake. Nothing on us. Nothing. No one cared. So, we're going out. There's a whole crowd gathered and clapping. I looked up. They wait till we get done. There's 2 cops down there. Go. You better get your clothes on and get your ass wherever you are. How old are you? None of your fucking business how old I am. Who do you think you are talking to me like that? These cops are laughing. They're laughing their ass off. By the way, it was very common for cops, and we were teenagers. We had permanent kegs all over. When they got off duty, they came to our keg parties. And it was part of the community. The old timers would come, their wives come, we'd have picnics, we'd barbecue. Very communal. People were they let us fly. They let us, and boy, did we. Oh, did we live. Yeah, did we make mistakes? Oh, hell yeah, we made mistakes. We did a lot of dumb shit. We did a lot of good shit. And we learned to love each other. And we learned to be communal. And we cared about each other. I think about my little daughter who's conceived the night that John Lennon was killed, the designer in Manhattan. What an amazing young woman she is. Shit. You know, all my friends, you know, shit, they all took turns raising her because I got a girl pregnant too young. You know, it was one of those accidental things that happened. We were too young. But we all loved her, you know. I didn't walk away like John Lennon. I love John Lennon, by the way. You know, and Julian, I stayed with her, and I rose her. I mean, everybody say, I mean, here I got this long blonde hair, my plastering career, everything that I'm doing, whatever. She's always with me, you know. Hey, what are the other girls or whatever, you know, our group of friends can, you know, the baby stay with us tonight, you know, at our house. Can we have the baby for a day? Yeah. That's where she got raised. She turned out magnificent. I think it was so important. I was, on the winter of 2010, we were in Brooklyn, and we had a party. You know, they had a party, and I'm like, you know, we all gathered around, and I says, God, I had a flashback of 1982, actually. It reminds me exactly of that. And she says, well, you don't think that influenced? You know how young you were? My dad used to say to her all the time, boy, you're doing a great job raising Kevin. Because I was too young, but now we don't let our youth fly. Oh, go to school, go to work, be an adult when you're freaking a kid. That's why I blame the baby boomers so much. We flawed. We were handed an incredible freaking America because we had magnificent parents. We had grandparents. I'm talking in the aggregate. I'm not talking individual. Sure, there were abusive assholes. You know, Albert Stone's right about that in some context. But my parents weren't. You know, Luann, Mick Jagger's so-called girlfriend, she was adopted. Her and I were very close friends. The things we did. Oh, my God, that girl was something else. What a genius. We loved to follow her career. And when she died, I was heartbroken. I found out where I'm sitting right now. It just came over me, and I'm like, oh, my God. And I went to New York, and we did type in physical graffiti on Balco, radioactive physical graffiti on Balco. I didn't even know who those people were that walked me, a couple of them. Ended up being Eric Oppenheim, Dennis Oppenheim's son, the great conceptual artist. He came, he followed me out. Oh, I love that fucking video. Oh, I love that video. Because they shot, I'm just waiting on a friend in that bar right there. Some of the art that I did, you know, people don't get it because they knee-jerk a YouTube video. They watch it for a second. They don't really think about it and put it into context. They're pieces of art. As we stood right there where John Lennon was killed, Eric and I, this year, and the baby wolf, Kevin. I've always wanted to do that video. First time Eric ever spoke on camera. By the way, Eric lived with Damien Hirsch. He knows the art community more than anyone. So I asked him, when I found out who he was, Eric, what about my art? What about what I do? Am I over the top? Am I doing it wrong? Am I doing it right? Whatever. And he says, oh, no, magnificent. And in that interview, he talks about his father. And he says, Kevin, I didn't know this. He says, you know, my dad had a freaking camera and was making videos, conceptual. He would love you. You think of him making those incredible churches upside down with a steeple ground. Oh, my God, are you kidding me? Which got John Lennon killed with by some radical lunatic punk. John Lennon was the greatest artist this freaking country at the time. I mean, my God. Remember the moment of silence we had for him? Everybody cried when he died. Everybody. From old to young, from left to right, from middle, everyone cried. Everyone. Because the art was that important. Now look at us. Look at us. So as baby boomers, we should be ashamed of ourselves. Every fucking one of them. We turned into a bunch of self-righteous assholes. Our parents handed us this economy on a silver platter. No debt. Tariffs at the port. GM and Ford cars. Beautiful, magnificent. Hired artists through the government. 40-hour work weeks. Dad working, mom at home. Or vice versa. You know, my aunt, the surgical nurse. What a magnificent woman she was. They made a lot of money. Our retired racehorses on our ranch from Santa Anita and Hollywood Park. We grew up riding some of the greatest racehorses in the world because my family and my aunts, the surgical nurses, they wanted good lives for those horses. By the way, those horses lived to be 29, 30 years old, the horses that we grew up riding, the greatest racehorses in the world. They cared. They gave a shit. Not now. Not now. We don't give a fuck as a baby boomer. Now exploit, rape the earth, poison the earth, kill our fucking babies, kill our children, give our fucking children no fucking future, give them no chance, bury them so far in debt, fucking annihilate, kick the can on these nuclear reactors that fucking were created. Don't take care of them. Just leave it to them. Poison them. Let them all have cancer. Bury them in debt. We went to college for free. Cal Berkeley was free. $40,000 for a California state resident on the back of the tax roll. The war complex, the fucking profiteers of exploiting and raping, it's because we let them. We was the baby boomer. We drank their fucking Kool-Aid. We drank their fucking Kool-Aid. The chemtrails, the fucking GMO, the fucking television, fucking all of it. That's our excuse. What a fucking crutch. Oh, it's the Illuminati. What a fucking crutch. Our parents didn't have that crutch because they felt pain. They knew what it was like to fucking be hungry and watch their fucking neighbors meandering fucking herds of fucking men in the 30s starving to fucking death. FDR had a soul because he had polio. These people had watched this pain and poverty. John Steinbeck, we simply went from the we to the I. Kevin Blanch, we simply went from the we to the I, back to the we, to the capital I. We're the capital I right now. Self-indulged, Ayn Rand loving fucking pieces of dog shit, and we all should be ashamed of ourselves, every last fucking one of us. You know, I fight. You know, I do my gig. I mean, it's a hard work. Born again, I'm not in that context. Not the context you think. Oh boy, was I born again in the fall of 2011. Going in and out of a coma in the bone marrow transplant center. Wow, the good fight. For the angels, they watch out over me. Very spiritual person. In a very different way. We'll continue this conversation on Thursday. But we need to be logical. We need to take care of the problems we've created. That's part of redemption. Fix what we fucked up. At least try. We don't even fucking try because we're a bunch of self-indulged fucking, lazy fucks. Stand tuned.
All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. They'll be calling you a radical. Bloomgate 311.